must have literally been the store around the corner, because they sold no protein, no meat, nothing of substance. You could just buy Oreos, cookies, toilet paper, water, Coca-Cola, junk. You could only buy junk food, which was quite frustrating because you buy Oreos and then you sit in jail and you think, I'm not going to eat too many Oreos because I don't want to get out of shape in this place. And then you're just staring at the Oreos for 33 whole minutes, which of course is 10 hours in jail. And you end up just eating 4 packs of Oreos a day. So it was annoying me I couldn't get any real food, and I had to live off the prison system food or eat junk food effectively.
So if you had a lot of commissary then, that makes you a target because you've got to break bread to your mates, but if you break too much bread, the moochies are going to be lined up at your cell trying to get everything you've got.
Yeah.
How did you balance that?
I really do believe that 99% of people, if you treat them with respect, will give you respect back. I really believe that. Of course, there are the oddballs, and there's some people who are simply broken. And there's some people which are quicker to anger than others. But I feel like if you are pretty respectful to most people, you'll be okay. And I feel like, in general, jail is just a condensed version of life for a man. I feel like it's just hyper-condensed. If you get angry in traffic, you wouldn't be able to survive jail. You get angry quicker, people get angry quicker, you have to be more polite, you have to be more quiet sometimes, you have to be more prepared for a fight even though you don't want to have one. Everything's just turned up a notch. That's how it is. And I was very giving and nice to people, but I also sometimes simply said no. And I felt like if I explain myself, it's weakness. So for the same reason I don't like to explain myself in my everyday life. And I'll segue and say this. A lot of people think I'm some rich kid. I think a lot of the people even in the jail thought I was some rich kid. They're like, the Tate brothers, they're rich guys. They didn't realize that my brother and I are the opposite of rich kids. We're poor people with a lot of money. We're from the streets. We're from the absolute bottom. We grew up around the knife crime and the robberies, and we've been arrested and all this garbage before. So if they expected us to be pushovers or weaklings, they learned very quickly that's not the case. And if somebody said, can I have cigarettes? Sometimes I would say, sure. Can I have cigarettes? No, sorry. I'm not going to say no because I'm running out and I need to do more, because that's weakness. For the same reason in my relationship, I don't like explaining myself to my girlfriend. Don't do that. Why? Because I said no. I'm not going to sit here and talk to why, because I said no. That's the answer, no. I won't explain myself to my children. I won't explain myself to my staff. Do this. Okay. I don't want to sit there and give reasons for That's a habit I learned from my dad. It offends me. I don't have to give my reasons. So if a guy came up and said, oh, can I have this? No, sorry. And then I just stand there and say, do something. You gonna do something about it? I'm standing right here. And what can he say? If I give him a bunch of excuses, then he could say, oh, brother, please. If I just say no, sorry, then it's either a fight or it's not. And it looks like they didn't want to fight, so
were you ever tempted to hustle with your commissary, do double bubble, that kind of thing?
I was trying to get gym time. The first week, I couldn't go to the gym, so I was like, who do I need to give cigarettes to go to the gym? And it took me a full week to realize there is no gym. There is nowhere to go. I'm not leaving this room, which kind of upset me because I bought extra cigarettes. You know, you're like, okay, cigarettes are the currency, so let me buy as many cigarettes as possible and see if I can get like gym time or something. But no, there was nowhere to go. There was nothing to do. There was not much I could do with it besides just be generous. And I was being as generous as I could because that's who I am as a person anyway. A couple people, I believe, tried to take the piss, and I just made it very clear to them, you shouldn't have done that. No, I'm not giving you anything.
Could you be more specific? How did they try and take the piss?
Well, I think when you go to Romanian jail, and you've been there for a long time, and you've been trying to get cigarettes out of people for years, and most of them never have cigarettes, and then rich foreigners come, and you ask for a cigarette, and you get a pack, and then you've been around the system long enough, perhaps, to understand that eventually we will leave. And they're never going to leave. I guess they kind of view it as make hay while the sun shines. So they just start smoking a pack in an hour and then ask for another pack. So where's the last ones? Like, I smoked them all. I know you didn't. Look, I smoked them all. And then I'd give him another pack of cigarettes and observe and watch him literally chain smoke them all. He thinks he can get unlimited cigarettes for this period of time. Like his grace has come. For these few months, cigarettes are free. So, and eventually I'd say, no, my friend. If I give you cigarettes, you're gonna have to make them last. I'm not giving you any more. And I like to think that firm line can be held in most things in life. I guess if I were to ask myself why I acted that way in jail, just like I alluded to earlier is how I act in life. If I say to my girlfriend no, she goes, well, I'm going to do it anyway. Well, I've said no, I'm going to do it anyway, then we're going to break up. If I say to a man no, and he makes a big deal of it, then he can fight me. Like, it is what it is. The answer is no, and I'm not going to tell you why. I just said no. I'm a full-grown man, the answer is no, and it's mine. It's mine. My brother had a saying in jail, which was, for some reason, kept making me laugh. Things are funny in jail that aren't funny on the outside, but it was funny. He'd slick his hair back. He'd get a cigarette. He'd smoke it. He goes, let him try. Because I said to him about some guy, kept asking for cigarettes. He goes, let him try. I'm a tough guy. I was like, what does that mean? He goes, like the movies. I'm a fucking tough guy, like the movies. I'll body slam him. I'm a fucking tough guy. For some reason, it was funny. But I guess that's just our attitude. We weren't there to be bullied by anybody. And very quickly, people treated us with respect. And I was very respectful to people, but also there was times I bumped into a guy in the hallway. And from my understanding, he was in jail for beating someone with a hammer. Some old man with a hammer, he beat him to death or something. And I bumped into him and I said sorry, and he didn't reply. And the guards were walking us. I said, brother, I said sorry to you. And he goes, oh, sorry. I made a killer apologize to me. Now, why did I do that? Because I said sorry to you, and you just ignored me. Now, I have no idea. He might have gone back to his cell and say, I bumped into Tate, he said sorry. The fact I made him apologize to me, you don't know how the repercussions spread in a place like jail. That might have been enough for him to go, you know what, those Tate brothers, you don't know. And I don't think I was being unfair. I wasn't being aggressive. I wasn't trying to start a fight. But he bumped into me effectively. In fact, I didn't even do anything wrong. He bumped into me, and I said sorry. So you better say it back, sir. And I feel like if you approach life that way, you'll be okay.
Yeah, people don't understand how combustible it is. Like, you could be walking past someone, they say, what are you looking at? Looking at nothing. You calling me nothing?
Yeah.
Next thing, bam.
And that's one thing that actually, I think prisons, of course, I'm sure I know, prisons are different all around the world. And I feel like an American jail, perhaps in many ways, would be more violent than a Romanian jail. It didn't feel violent. It felt sad. I don't know how to explain it. It didn't feel like a violent place. There was the capability of many to be violent, and there certainly was tinges of violence in the air sometimes. But it felt sad. That's how it felt. I imagine an American jail would be different, because I think to even be violent requires a degree. It's a high energy expenditure. If you're with your friends and you're with your gang and you're out in the yard and you're talking and you're laughing and there's enough in you. But if you're just locked in a room all day, every day in the dark with the roaches, and you get to bump past a prisoner for a few seconds every 4 days, like, are you really gonna use that chance to get kicked at you by guards? Really? Everyone was depressed. Everyone was chronically depressed. So I felt like, in a lot of ways, that kept a lot of the violence under control, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How many days did it take for you to settle down into a routine?
That's a very good question. Because now I think about it. And when I just went back yesterday, it was probably my worst day in jail I've ever had. It was worse than the 3 months, because the 3 months, I had a routine. I had a system. I was very busy in jail. I found a way to be busy all day, every day. I didn't have any spare time. There'd be days in jail I'd wake up and I'd start my things, whatever, and I'd check the time and be like, yeah, I'm late. Like I had things to do. If I had to go to court that morning and they messed up my schedule, I was in a very bad mood, especially when they rejected me. Like, why take me to court to reject me? Just let me do my things. So I think within 2 or 3 weeks, I had a schedule. I'd be up at around the same time, and we'd get our hot water at a certain time, and I'd begin my training at a certain time, and there'd be a particular show on that I understood at a certain time, which would burn 30 minutes, and I'd watch that, and then I'd do my other training after that, and I'd have to do 1,000 push-ups a day, and then I'd clean the toilet, and then I'd sweep the whole floor, and then we'd go for killing bugs, we had a system. This last day I was in jail, I was thrown in a cell with these 3 men I didn't know, and it was their room. It's like walking into someone else's house, right? It's their room, it's their system, it's their setup. They went to bed at 7 p.m., these people. They turned off the TV and hit the lights and everything. By 7 p.m. they went to sleep. My system, me and my brother would be up till 2, 3 in the morning. So 7 p.m., lights out, boom, quiet. These 3 guys are trying to sleep, and you're just sitting there staring at the ceiling. So it was much worse to be thrusted into somebody else's ecosystem. But when I was in jail for the 3 months, after about a month, my brother and I had a pretty firm system set out. And hot water would come at a certain time, and I'd get it on Mondays and he'd get it on Tuesdays because it was 6 a.m. and we'd sleep past that. So who would have to get up to get the water, and who made the coffee, and the room was immaculate, and how the cigarettes were stacked, and how certain things went in certain places, and who did the washing up. Within a month, we had a very system. I didn't have any spare time in jail. I was very busy, if that makes sense.
Did you have just enough floor space to do push-ups on?
Literally. I could literally do push-ups and maybe stick my arm out, but then I'd touch the wall. That was it. And I'd do 1,000 push-ups a day.
1,000. What other exercises did you do?
In sets of 50. I'd do 300. I started with 400, but I ended up, I admit, going down to 300 squats every single day. And then, if there was a good TV show on, I would sit with 6 2-liter bottles of water, which is 12 kilos, around 28 pounds or something. And I'd sit and lift it over my head, back, forth, while watching TV on a little plastic chair. And then about a month and a half in, the leg to my plastic chair broke. And then, which was very upsetting, and there was no other chairs in the jail. So I got a bed sheet, and I made the sheet into kind of like a rope and put it around all 4 legs to keep it together and fix this chair. And that held out for about 4 days. And then someone killed themselves. So they bust into my cell and found the sheet and said, you're going to hang yourself. I said, no, I'm fixing my chair. So they took the sheet and left me with a 3-legged chair. So that kind of destroyed that. So from then on out, I had to do that exact exercise, but standing up. And I would just basically train all day. I would train all day and clean all day. And I guess you become pedantic about certain things because you have time. So, I'd pour coffee in a certain way, and I'd wait a few minutes, and I'd look at the cup and wait for it to cool down, and then I'd consciously enjoy the coffee as opposed to just vamoose it like you normally do, and consciously have a cigarette. You become more conscious. In the outside world, you have a cigarette while you're doing everything else, but in jail, you have a cigarette, you're having a cigarette. That's what you're doing. That's it.
So would you say then the things that you took for granted before that arrest, you started to develop a whole new appreciation of them because, like sleep, food, quality, these things, you lose them and you realize how good you had it.
Yes, but it's also amazing how ungrateful the human mind is. Because you soon slip back into not respecting it anymore. True or false?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But the day I got out, I walked down with this high street eating a banana like I was high on it. Thinking I'm a free man, I can just eat a banana. It didn't lasted a few months, but
and then it goes. It's like you get out of jail and you're like, I can do anything, and then a few months in you're like, man. And it's amazing how ungrateful you are as a person, like inside of us, because hedonistic adaptation's a thing. And there were promises I made to myself in jail about phone usage and certain things that you soon slip back into your normal habits of just being on your phone all the time and working all the time, etc.
So did yesterday top you up on reminding about that?
You know what's so strange about yesterday? I woke up this morning and I looked around and I thought, in the alternate universe, I'd be waking up now in that room. And I took a second to thank God I wasn't in that room still. Because if I would have got 30 days yesterday, I have no idea how long I would have been there. And I mean, it goes further down the rabbit hole, because you can look at yourself and you can be cognitive of yourself and what's happening to you. But you start to understand that all of these systems we rely on to keep society functioning, at best, are limping forward, at best. People imagine people who are inside the fish tank, who are stuck in the middle of it and have never gone up against a glass wall. They imagine things like the justice system or the banking system to be well-oiled machines, a Ferrari tearing down the highway. When the truth is, it's actually far more like a pickup truck with 2 wheels missing. And it's moving forward, but there's sparks everywhere. They're damaging the road. It doesn't handle properly. It's about to crash. It's screeching. Yes, it moves, but it's so full of fault. There's so many mistakes with it. There isn't a jail on this planet without innocent people in it. There's not a jail on this planet without innocent people in it. And there's also not a jail on this planet without people who've been mis-sentenced who have sentences they shouldn't have ever picked up. And my father, who was a professional chess player, he hung out with a black guy called Jack. Now, when I asked Jack used to have a